The latest tech.
People love iPhone, and it's an important part of our daily lives.
Interviews.
You see far too many products that come on the market that you look at that you say, was a blind person ever even consulted for something like this?
Accessibility.
The most interesting thing over the last couple of years is the emphasis on gaming and accessibility.
This is Double Tap TV.
Welcome to the show. I am Marc Aflalo.
And I'm Stephen Scott. Now, Marc, this week we're talking about a very cool and new initiative from Microsoft designed to help the non-profit sector develop more tools and services specific to the disability community.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. It's called the Microsoft Nonprofit Tech Accelerator. And we're going to be talking to the program manager shortly all about it and how it came to be.
But this isn't the first program of its kind from Microsoft when it comes to helping non-profits or the disability community, right?
No, definitely not. Microsoft, as you know, if you watch this show, is one of those brands that takes accessibility, design, and integration really to new levels. The focus on accessibility at its core is not something they hide, whether it's their adaptive tech lab at their headquarters in Seattle, Washington, or the adaptive accessories, or even the gaming accessories that debuted several years ago. Microsoft does a pretty amazing job and has amazing work and strides and takes a lot of pride in that work.
Yeah, I remember there was this interview with the Chief Accessibility Officer at Microsoft, Jenny Lee Fleury, that really helps explain how Microsoft champions tech to be used as an equalizer for those of us with disabilities.
Let's take a look at that clip right now.
So I think technology can just be an incredible enabler. And I think if you look at the demographics, you've got an unemployment rate that's double that for people with disabilities versus people without. I think that technology can be one of those incredible areas that can get people to really achieve whatever they want to achieve, whether that's in education, in employment, enjoyment, in life. And so we're beginning to see that. I think some of the technologies that we've been able to put out through the lens of AI, whether that's an app we have called Seeing AI, which allows people with blindness and low vision to really just have it auditorily described, the world described, whether that's an image of you or handwriting in a holiday card. And then just have that spoken out loud, or for me, captioning. I think just the simplicity of having really high quality captioning that is instantaneously provided through AI, that's at the bar that I can use, that will never replace the need for me to have an interpreter as somebody who's deaf, but it will mean that I'm more able to be independent in my communications, in my meetings, in my relationships with people and friends. So I think there's just amazing opportunities as you look at the lens, and there's a lot more to be really tapped.
Stephen, that really does say it all when it comes to Microsoft and how they design accessibility really at the core.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I love about Microsoft, and it really has come on leaps and bounds. And I would say probably the last 6 years, because, I think about products like Narrator, which was the screen reader we used to all use to download another screen reader. It was known as one of the worst screen readers out there. And all of a sudden, almost overnight, about 6-7 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, I remember it all just changed. And suddenly there was this Narrator screen reader that was incredible. This, of course, is the screen reader that many blind people will use as an alternative to NVDA or JAWS, some of the other popular screen readers out there. But Narrator now is on par with that, and I say that delicately because there are some people out there who will say to me, "Well, it's not up there with JAWS." It's fine. The point is, for someone who doesn't have the money to buy a product like JAWS, you get this built into your computer. And it's not the only accessibility feature, there are many.
What excites me about accessibility at a company like Microsoft is that every time we speak to them, and we've spoken to them a lot during this show, they talk about accessibility in the DNA. And really what that comes down to is that it's not an afterthought. It's not like, okay, let's build the Office suite and now let's figure out how to make this accessible. It's about designing it from the start and getting their employees and the developers and everybody involved to think in those terms when they're designing software and hardware, so that by nature and by core, they're not just saying, okay, let's create this new feature and let's now figure out how to make it accessible. It's about, let's create this feature that everybody, regardless of any ability or disability or anything, can use. And getting that way of thinking into a mindset of an employee can't necessarily be the easiest thing in the world, because it is still in 2023 a foreign concept to people.
Yeah, and it's often a foreign concept for one simple reason. There are so many different disabilities out there, so many different needs. So yes, for some people it's just a larger text option. For some people it's color contrast. For other people it's a screen reader. For other people it's captioning. There's lots of aspects to it you have to build in. And there's probably a feeling, I think, of being overwhelmed when it comes to developing code, especially for something like Microsoft Windows, which is used by so many people and in so many different environments and in so many ways that is crucial, right? I mean, it's your job in a lot of cases, but that's what a lot of people use PCs for in their workplace. So you need to be able to get onto that Teams call. You need to be able to, make sure that PowerPoint is being sent out properly. That email is being sent out in an accessible format. And they really are working hard to make sure that all those tools are built into the Microsoft Office products and into the Windows operating system itself. We've seen some massive strides forward. Some of them are subtle, but they are crucially upfront, and they're talking about it at their events as well, which you don't see as much of with other companies.
Do you think we're going to ever be in a place where we're not asking those questions about why they do things with accessibility in mind, where it's just, come on, guys, like, why are you asking this question again? We've been doing this for 55 years now. Do you think we're going to get to that place? I really hope we do.
I kind of hope we do. I'm a little bit more cynical. I've been around and seen this film a few times, and I've seen what happens when, someone goes away and, a company head changes and the priority is different. You can see how things can change. So I might sound a little bit cynical in this. I tend to say the important thing is for all of us to just keep banging the drum for accessibility. Those of us who use it, we should call out errors, absolutely. But we should also praise the companies for when they get it right. I think that's really important. I think Microsoft have done a lot of good. A lot of people are annoyed that they got rid of Microsoft Soundscape, which is, a fantastic application. But, and I should say, they didn't get rid of it. They opened up the source code so other people could take the project on. They didn't just ditch it completely. They have, however, will be removing it from the App Store at the end of June in 2023. But, the point is that, they are trying to make sure that, as you say, it's in the DNA. And that actually, by what they've done with Soundscape, actually what that says is we're trying to encourage other people to develop this. It's not just about Microsoft. And they prove this as well. They actually talk a lot at their events, at their Big Ability Summit event they have every year. They talk about how they can get businesses involved in continuing the work of Microsoft. Now that does give me some hope.
Well, Stephen, on deck is someone who's going to shed some light on a brand new program at Microsoft that is really designed to empower companies, especially in the nonprofit tech sector, to build more of these tools. We're going to find out what it is. We're going to find out who it's for, what they hope to get out of it, and we'll get all those answers and more after we take a quick break here and come back with Microsoft's Sunday Parker on Double Tap TV. Stick around.
You're watching Double Tap TV. Get involved. Follow us at Double Tap On Air or email us feedback@doubletaponair.com. Double Tap TV will be right back. You're watching Double Tap TV.
Stephen, I'm super excited to welcome to the show Sunday Parker, the Access Technology Program Manager at Microsoft's Austin, Texas campus. Sunday, thank you so much for joining us on Double Tap TV. How are you?
Thank you. Doing well. How are you?
You know what? We're doing amazing, and we're happy that you're with us this week to talk about Microsoft's new nonprofit Tech Accelerator. Now, this program, this accelerator, what exactly is it? I'm sure in the tech space people have heard the term accelerator before, but you guys have a unique spin. How would you describe it?
So this program was really created to better support nonprofit organizations where they are, and specifically geared towards nonprofits that serve people with disabilities. And so there are some considerations such as accessibility that come into play with that. And by providing access to technology and grants, we hope to be able to better serve their unique missions and be able to meet the needs of people with disabilities. And so through partnering with a diverse disability set of organizations, we are really uniquely positioned at Microsoft to be able to provide the staffing and the resources as well as the grant funding to be able to support these missions through tech acceleration and to be able to increase the digital maturity of these organizations.
Sunday, I think you might be understating it just a little bit when you talk about the resources that Microsoft as a company bring to the table for any organization. So the fact that you can give these tools to some of these nonprofits, especially in the accessibility space, is actually quite a big deal. I was mentioning this at the top of the show. I mean, these are companies that, without your help, couldn't necessarily have access to the tools that Microsoft are providing, let alone the funding.
Yeah, so we, in addition to the grant program that we have launching at the beginning of this year, we've also released a new nonprofit resource hub, and this was curated specifically for our disability community, and that includes training from our accessibility team. This can be digital accessibility training, or it could be disability etiquette to learn about how to interact with people with disabilities. And in addition, a roundup of the programs and offerings that are available to nonprofits for free, discounted technology that they can take advantage of through our all-up Microsoft Philanthropy's efforts as well. So these are crucial resources that we know are much needed by organizations, both big and small, wherever they are on their journey to support people with disabilities and to incorporate accessibility and to be able to enhance their mission with these vital tech tools.
Sunday, is this program open to businesses of all shapes and sizes, or just those that fit a certain criteria?
I have been really excited to see the diverse set of organizations that are interested in taking part, and we are looking to partner with organizations, both big and small, that are serving the disability community in their own unique way. So looking at things like intersectionality as part of the grant program, and to be able to serve across the spectrum of disability. We know that there are groups within disability, it's a spectrum, right? And so being able to partner with organizations that are diverse and in location and demographic and what their missions are.
We've heard of programs and grants available for nonprofits and ones that focus on accessibility, but to be honest, normally they're restricted to local companies and local organizations, but this Tech Accelerator is available worldwide. So my question is, why start so big? And why not start with, say, North America, for example? Maybe see how that goes. Is there a reason behind that decision?
Well, there are 1 billion people around the world that have disabilities, and the challenges geographically are different. And so by being able to incorporate a global set of nonprofit organizations, we can tackle the disability divide we have to start somewhere, right? And so including a global set of disability organizations is able to really influence the program at an early time to be able to, in the long term, support our disability communities, which are global, and to be able to do that within the pilot phase. For example, one of our organizations that were part of our pilot initiative was Seeability, which is an organization based out of the UK. So our partnerships currently are global, and so it was definitely essential for us to start this program to be able to cater to our global disability communities.
Sunday, I think this global approach is super important for a program like this because, as you said, every location around the world has their own specific challenges. What might work for somebody in Canada or the US isn't necessarily the same for somebody in Africa or somebody in, Asia, for example. So I'm curious internally at Microsoft, because you are a very connected organization, but you're also spread out throughout the world. Are you guys going to learn from the different challenges that you experience in these different locations and take it back to your teams and see how you can take those on differently?
Oh, certainly. And I think there are overarching themes that cut across the disability community globally and across the company. This is relates to a broader strategy from our Microsoft Philanthropy's team. And so being able to educate on accessibility and the unique challenges that our community faces, we are stronger as an organization to be able to support our nonprofit communities. And some of the feedback that we have gotten from our partners is that through the accessibility training of our nonprofit Tech Accelerator program, we have actually been able to skill accessibility that will feed back into their programs all up, whether it be specifically geared towards nonprofits that serve people with disabilities and inherently employ people with disabilities. And so accessibility obviously is essential as part of our program and really leading with that from the start. But this will trickle down to the way that our Tech for Social Impact team really supports nonprofits all up.
Sunday, we're not quite done with you yet. Stick around because we want to know about the future of this program, because you did say it's a pilot. This is Double Tap TV. We're not a pilot, but we are chatting with Sunday Parker, Access Technology Program Manager at Microsoft, and we will be right back.
Can't get enough Double Tap TV? Subscribe to the podcast and get your fill of Double Tap every day. Visit doubletaponair.com and follow us now. Double Tap TV will be right back. You're watching Double Tap TV.
Welcome back. We're chatting all about Microsoft's new nonprofit Tech Accelerator, designed specifically to fund and provide companies who work in and around accessibility with not only money, but resources they wouldn't necessarily have had otherwise. Our guest this week is Access Technology Program Manager from Microsoft's Austin, Texas campus, Sunday Parker. Sunday, you said this is a pilot program. So is this something you expect to grow over the coming years, or is this a one-off? What's the mission here?
Well, the goal in the meantime is short-term, to be able to support as many disability nonprofits as we can within the next calendar year. But of course, this is something we want to set up for the long term to be able to continue to support our nonprofit community moving forward.
Sunday, is there a figure here, an amount of money that Microsoft is going to be granting or investing in this?
So we are hoping to support this year 8 nonprofit organizations. The grant funding element of this will vary based on the needs of the projects. You know, some organizations have specific needs for getting access to their existing Microsoft products and services and how to better use them within their organization. And then there are organizations that have really strategic projects that align with their mission and that we can build out over this year, and then also looking at the future of how we support the next phase of the journey. But the quantity we hope to get back to as we're reflecting and learning on the pilot in the coming months.
This is obviously an exciting initiative and something that I understand is also very close to you personally. What brought you to the program?
Yeah, thank you for the question. This is truly a full circle kind of moment for me, specifically as it relates to this program. I was born with a complex physical disability, and I have been in a wheelchair since the age of 7. I grew up in a very small rural town with not a lot of resources, and so nonprofits really were essential to what brings me here today. And representing Microsoft, being in the field of accessibility, all of that would never have been possible without the support of nonprofits throughout growing up. And so I started my accessibility journey advocating, working alongside nonprofits as a goodwill ambassador for a nonprofit organization that supported me as a child. I then had the incredible opportunity to get into accessibility within the field of tech. I started working in customer service, and through there, I worked with our disability ERG at my previous company, and then eventually branched into product accessibility. And now the program that you have me here today, which is leading our Access Technology program at Microsoft. So really, this is a moment that brings together everything that I have worked on within my personal life as well as professional over the last 5 years.
Sunday, if people want to find out more about the program, or if they're interested in learning how they can perhaps even apply, how do they do that?
Yeah, thank you. So we'll share out a link for you to follow along on the Nonprofit Tech Accelerator page, as well as share our resources hub to get more information on the program.
And the link to those resources, we'll put them up on the screen, and of course link them on our social media, is https://aka.ms /accessibility NTA. And you could find the Nonprofit Resource Hub at https://aka.ms/NTA resources. Sunday Parker, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time.
Stephen, I know you seem surprised, but you really shouldn't be when a company like Microsoft launches an initiative like this, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, absolutely. This isn't the first time either, Mark. I mean, Microsoft has ongoing grants across the company for non-profits.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a cool thing that they do, obviously, across the board. And we'll be sure to follow this one. And I want to get Sunday back on to see how it evolves and maybe even talk to some of the companies that are benefiting from it on, future shows. We'll definitely take an opportunity there. That's a wrap for this week's edition of Double Tap TV. On behalf, of course, Sunday Parker from Microsoft and Stephen Scott, I am Marc Aflalo. Thank you for being here. Here's how to connect with us.
Thanks for watching Double Tap. Send us your feedback to feedback@doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. Hosted by Marc Aflalo in Montreal and Stephen Scott in Glasgow. Producer Marc Aflalo. Editing and graphics Jordan Steves. Voiceover Anna Vicino. Social media Wendy Kaufman. Integrated Described Video Specialist M. Williams. Supervising Producer Michelle Dudas. Manager Programming AMI TV Lizanne Gagne. Director Content Development and Production Karen Nye. VP Content Development and Operations John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Copyright 2023 Accessible Media Inc.